General Chaudhry was there at that time. And he came back and he came straight to my office. And he said things are very bad. And could the Air Force take part? And I told him quite, I said, in our setup, I don't have authority to start a war.
Prime Minister Shastri took an immediate decision. Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Arjan Singh, was told to retaliate. At 5:19 p.m. on 1st September, Indian Air Force vampires from Pathankot Air Force Base began taking off to reinforce India's defense.
It was about 1 hour left to sunset. And our aircraft was quite far away. They were Pathankot, Halwara, Adampur. And attack took place at Cham, Jordian, Akhnur sector. That's it. There. You see, the main idea was to capture Akhnur Bridge.
By the early 1960s, Pakistani army officers had been training in the United States and Britain. They'd also conducted joint military exercises with both countries. Pakistan had completely modernized its armed forces with new equipment from the United States, including hundreds of state-of-the-art pattern tanks. Pakistan had also signed a treaty of military cooperation with China, so it was well prepared to wage a war.
In Pakistan, even as its troops and armor were invading India, Ayub Khan declared in a radio broadcast that the threat of war in Kashmir was being forced on them.
भारतीय हुक्मरान शुरू से पाकिस्तान की वजूद से नफरत करते रहे हैं और मुसलमानों की इरादा आजाद मुमलिकत को उन्होंने कभी दिल से तस्लीम ही नहीं किया.
Over the next 4 days, Pakistan continued with its offensive inside India. Indian army units, though outnumbered and outgunned, put up a brave fight. The Indian Air Force kept harassing the Pakistani forward positions from the air. Then, on September 2nd, 1965, the Pakistani Air Force also joined the battle over Cham.
7:30 in the morning, the Pathankot squadron, 23 squadron, my brother's squadron, got a warning from the radar station that 4 Sabre jets have got airborne and they're heading for the Cham sector.
On September the 3rd, squadron leader Trevor Keeler led a formation of Nat fighters against the intruding Pakistani F-86 Sabre fighters supplied by the Americans. As the air combat between IAF Nats and PAF Sabres began, F-104 starfighters of Pakistan appeared on the scene, tilting the balance in favor of Pakistan. But in spite of being heavily outnumbered, squadron leader Keeler went after a Sabre jet and shot it down.
It happened around about 8:30 in the morning. So it was a very historical event for us and especially for my brother also. And Pakistan, of course, were extremely upset about it because the hype of the press was so intense after the aircraft was shot down. It was challenging their invincibility.
By 5th September, the Pakistani armor had only managed to penetrate 29 kilometers inside India. But they had reached Joria, a village just 9.5 kilometers from the road junction of Akhnur.
In April that year, when the Pakistan army rolled their tanks into the Rann of Kutch, Indian defense planners realized that Pakistan was launching offensives in a terrain advantageous to them. On their side of Kashmir, they had better roads and a sound communication infrastructure. In Kutch, Pakistan army installations were right next door in Sindh, while the Indian army had to traverse vast salt plains to reach the border. So a plan was made secretly on how and where to attack Pakistan to render them at a strategic disadvantage. This top-secret plan was codenamed Operation Riddle.
General Chaudhry sought permission to launch Operation Riddle, but that meant an invasion of Pakistan, Lal Bahadur Shastri's reply was cryptic: cross it. Before dawn on 6th September, India launched a three-pronged offensive against Lahore along an 80-kilometer front. From the northeast across the river Ravi, along the Amritsar-Lahore road at Wagha, and from the southeast, attacking the Pakistani town of Kasur. 2 days later, on September 8th, India opened another front targeting Sialkot, 24 kilometers across the border. The same day, 800 kilometers south of Lahore, India opened a third front by attacking and occupying the town of Gadra in Sindh. Pakistan suddenly found itself fighting more battles on more fronts than it had planned for. The Pakistani plan of cutting off Kashmir remained unachieved, as Ayub Khan had to pull out his troops from the Chumb sector to defend Sialkot and Lahore.
Pakistan made plans to counter India's Lahore offensive by launching a massive attack aimed at capturing Amritsar. Pakistan's elite 1st Armored Division was to drive hundreds of tanks through Khemkaran for the assault on Amritsar. A decisive battle was fought 60 kilometers southwest of Amritsar at Asal Uttar, thereafter known as Patan Nagar.
Pakistan's pride, the 1st Armored Division, pushed its offensive towards Khemkaran with the intention of capturing Amritsar and controlling the bridge over River Beas that led to Jalandhar. But there were delays in the Pakistan attack, and they got bogged down in crossing the Rohi Nala. By 10th September, the Indian Army had fortified the area and was poised to meet the attack. 3 Indian tank regiments had taken up a horseshoe position, while other forces blocked the flanks. Trenches had been dug, and gun positions and weapons pits had been well camouflaged by cotton and sugarcane fields. 106mm recoilless guns were also deployed on the Khemkaran-Amritsar road. Into this valley of death came the Pakistani tanks to meet their doom. Company Quartermaster Master Abdul Hamid of India's 4th Grenadiers was the best 106mm recoilless gun shooter in the battalion. On 10th September, when Pakistani tanks came upon the 4th Grenadier positions, Havildar Abdul Hamid led his detachment in shooting down one tank after another. Havildar Hamid himself, in total disregard of his own safety, destroyed 3 Patton tanks. Firing from his jeep-mounted RCL gun, driving right through the attacking tanks. As he was firing on a 4th tank, the Pakistanis spotted him and concentrated their fire on the brave Indian soldier. Havildar Abdul Hamid was posthumously awarded the Paramveer Chakra, the highest gallantry award in India.